Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be the current Probots champ. It's Zozo, and taking on Zozo is BenBotBC, a very good Terran bot known for its unique turtle style. And yes, we'll see how well BenBot's going to do against the champ, and it should be a good match between these two. Now, we've got an SCV scout from BenBot at the same time. There's also a proxy Rax going up. Zozo is going for a probe scout. However, the probe gets cornered and killed on that refinery. So that's a nice pickoff by BenBot in order to shut down that scout. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this match, make sure to go ahead, click that like button if you haven't already. You guys always blow it out of the water. And yeah, leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches. And subscribe if you haven't already. Just, if you want a good reason to subscribe, keep an eye out. There is going to be videos going up of some interviews with bot authors. Just when I get around to ensuring that the audio's good, collecting some background footage that should be up on the channel fairly soon. But yeah. And if you guys want to support the channel, consider becoming a YouTube member, or there's a PayPal link down below. The end of the spiel before the 2-minute mark, before BenBot goes for what is probably going to be a proxy bunker a little bit further back than I'd like here on Torches, going for a bit of a strange containment against Zozo, it seems, unless it's going to leapfrog forward or something like that. As BenBot has had a lot of success with these proxies in the past, but in this game, it is not going to be anywhere near the Nexus. The bunker will finish up prior to the Stalker getting out, so it's like, in theory, it could have been built on the high ground. At the same time, then Zozo might have pulled probes against it. There's a lot of meta that goes on inside these bot games. For now, we do have a Stargate going up for Zozo. It is a bot that tends to play just the one build while on the ladder, and then having hidden strats for tournaments, so we'll just have to keep an eye on this one and how well BenBot's potentially going to handle what I think will be Tempest, as Zozo has gone for this every game since it's been back on the ladder. Protoss is in no danger, as it's got a couple stalkers, a battery on the high ground. BenBot, meanwhile, just fires up a siege tank. It has been known to reinforce these bunker proxies with the tanks, but whether that will actually leapfrog forward and get aggressive, I'm not sure, or whether it'll make it across the map before Zozo potentially cleans this up. We do have a scouting marine for BenBot running into that natural and getting killed off. Meanwhile, Zozo trying to go for an expansion here on Torches. However, this location is actually blocked due to this mineral wall. So Zozo maybe not being updated to handle these mineral walls correctly. And that's a nice big win for BenBot. As if Zozo's not going to expand to the right locations, it can just cripple itself. Behind this, BenBot does have a siege tank out. Where is it? There it is. Meanwhile, a Widow Mine following this up as well. I'm a big fan of Widow Mines. They seem to be all the rage at the minute. We'll see just how well BenBot is going to make use of that. For now, though, there is a finished Stargate for Zozo, a finished fleet beacon. It's producing stalkers still, but no Tempest starting up. As I say that, there's a Tempest starting up. Zozo does eventually attempt to go elsewhere to expand, but that is bad news for the probe as it runs to the low ground and gets killed off by that tank. Now, so Zozo doesn't know about this bunker. The answer is yes. We'll see when it decides to engage this, as a probe tries to come down the ramp. A marine goes up the ramp, which is not a good call. The probe does get deleted by the tank once more. Zozo, though, soon will have a Tempest out, which can, in theory, just clean this up with ease. BenBot is just chilling back at home for now. It is going into Vikings already before seeing the Tempest, though. So I'm wondering if it scouted something to make it aware of this, or maybe it's just a blind decision to go for a couple Vikings in TVP. For now, though, the one Tempest is going to work on this bunker. The tank is shelling away on stalkers of Zozo, getting some good shots off. The SCV repairing the bunker is killed off, though. The tank does grab a few stalkers. The Marines surge forward. But this containment has indeed been cleaned on up by Zozo for the cost of 3 stalkers. That's not bad at all for the Protoss. And we see that while proxying outside of the base can be good against some opponents, it didn't really get too much here for BenBot. It was a rather large commitment just to delay the third of Zozo a tiny bit. And I'm curious, like, was that worth it? It's debatable. For now, we do have BenBot getting up its own third base. Zozo's already got its third Nexus building on location. BenBot's going for 1-1 upgrades on Vikings, so it's definitely aware of those Tempests now and getting ready to counter them. However, the lethality from Zozo is not just the fact that it builds Tempests. The Tempests tend to force an overreaction from its opponents, but the fact that it backs it up with a lot of stalkers on the ground. So we'll see if BenBot can maybe play defensive with tanks, planetaries, Vikings, and then maybe be able to shut this down. And BenBot just says tag early Tempest now. It said tag Tempest. Now it says tag early Tempest. I do wonder what that's about. For now, a Hellion driving around for BenBot. Meanwhile, there's a Widow Mine at this third base as well of Zozo. It's actually zoning out the probe that's intended to build the cannon there. So that's quite nice. As, yeah, look at this. Zozo does respect the Widow Mine, it looks like that. But it's like, no, I'm not going over there, man. I know what's over there. As the probe is very wise, but that does mean that the cannon shall not get up. And look at this, one Widow Mine denying a lot of mining time from Zozo. This is really good for BenBot because, as we see, BenBot doesn't have its own third landed and mining yet. And yeah, look at this Widow Mine doing good work here. So until Zozo gets an observer over here to clean this up, it will be in a bit of a rough spot. The probes are trying to path around the Widow Mine. They're kind of slowly being shuffled to the base, and they're like, can we mine here? There's a Widow Mine there, guys. And okay, Zozo, where's your observer? There's the observer coming on out now, so presumably this should be cleaned on up soon. But Zozo seems to not be overly defensive right now. It's just chilling at its natural. That seems to be the way that it's programmed to just play defensive. Not cleaning up this Widow Mine is unfortunate, though, as we're still seeing this incredibly valuable mine deny the mining at the third of Zozo. It goes to show that having your probes be passive can have unintended consequences because they are unable to mine at this third due to the mine. And then if you don't have some behavior to eventually address that problem, who knows, maybe Zozo will never be able to clean up this Widow Mine. As BenBot continues to get more of an economic lead, as Zozo just doesn't have that third base mining. This is incredible value from the Blue Terran, as BenBot, meanwhile, behind this is just pumping out lots and lots of Vikings. It's got so many Vikings, 11 Vikings in the sky, going up to like 15. There's a planetary building at the third, but this is what I'm talking about. It's not so much that the Tempest can't be dealt with, it's the strength of the ground army paired with the Tempest, which makes me nervous. As Zozo's moving out to get aggressive, there is a cannon about to finish up, so BenBot may lose its Widow Mine here. As that mine does begin getting shot, it'll deny mining a little while longer and then perish, but here comes Zozo getting aggressive. BenBot is gonna have to do something here. It's got a Widow Mine that kills a stalker. There's the planetary and a ton of SCVs to repair this. But there's not much else. The one tank is going to have to put in a lot of work against these stalkers. So far it is. Zozo is killing off some of the SCVs that are here to repair the planetary. It needs to kill the planetary, kill the tank first, ideally. A lot of bots are programmed to kill the workers, though, just so this base cannot be repaired anymore. That's why we see BenBot getting a lot more boys to come out here to help out. Vikings are unable to engage the Tempest due to the stalker cover for them. 7 Vikings have died already for not not a single Tempest. Looks like the Tempest have taken a bit of a beating from some of the Vikings. A lot of Stalkers have died due to the tank and the planetary, but all in all, not a bad trade from Zozo. Resources lost is about even. I think that probably favors the Protoss in this situation. A new Widow Mine burrows, gets a nice connection. That mine will be cleaned on up, though, as the Tempest are just shelling away. Stalkers engaging onto this planetary. Again, the one tank is just worth its weight in gold as it continues to shell away. Vikings are occupying the Tempest time, but for now, Zozo is just pumping out more Stalkers, more Tempest, and it seems to be doing all right with this. Vikings do get on top of one of the Tempests, though. A second Tempest is in a bit of trouble as Zozo did not have its Stalkers there to cover for them, so 3 Tempests get picked off by the Vikings of BenBot. A fantastic find on that opportunity. We then see the Vikings scatter to try and avoid the Stalkers, but it's not that... the effectiveness is questionable, as the Vikings are definitely still eating some shots here. They have an urge to fight the Tempest. They also have an urge to avoid the Stalkers. Which line of programming is going to win out here? But for now, Zozo is getting aggressive at the third once again. The thing that's a little scary is Zozo is transitioning behind this. We're getting Teutonic Destabilizers. That finished up. That's going to help against the planetaries. Double Tempest production. Lots of Stalkers with +1 on the way behind this. And then we're even getting Colossi added into the mix, which is definitely questionable. When your opponent already has lots of Vikings, do you really want to have Colossi? I don't think so. So that's not great. For now, though, Zozo is getting ready to come on in once again. It has lost a lot of Tempest. Vikings are going to land now, as there's no threat in the skies against them. I actually love to see that from BenBot. I'm not sure that's something we've really seen from the Blue Terran too much before, so BenBot experimenting with this Viking style, it seems. We'll see if they all take back to the skies due to the presence of the Tempest once more, but... yeah, not bad from BenBot, holding the line for now. The Widow Mine causing problems. And looks like another Tempest will get picked off, and it does, thanks to the +2 attack on that, as the Prism, I think, saves a Colossi there. But the Vikings, again, 4 of them going to get on top of a Tempest. And as long as BenBot doesn't lose every single Viking, that's not a bad trade. We do have another tank rolling around for BenBot. It does siege as the Stalkers get closer, and that's not another tank. That was the critical tank defending this 4th base. That dies as it was getting reassigned towards the 5th. But that may mean that this planetary is a little bit vulnerable now, as I think that was the same tank, unless it had been picked off. No, yeah, that was the same tank that must have been moved, so that's not great. The planetary now not the most effective location for BenBot to trade like it was when the tank was getting free shots. We do have another tank being built. Pressure is really high, though, on BenBot right now. Vikings coming out, they see a threat and then they turn around, but they're definitely eating some shots. Meanwhile, SCV's running all over. The planetary taking some heat. Can the Vikings get the Tempest? It doesn't look like it when there's 28 Stalkers on the ground to cover for it. As soon as that one tank died, things went oh so wrong for BenBot. BenBot's got a new tank at this planetary, but we see that rather linear line of programming. The tank just goes to the outermost base, it seems. The Widow Mine's at the outermost base, whereas this base here is the location that could really benefit from those units, as BenBot is taking some poor trades right now against the Protoss, which is looking to potentially kill off this blue base, as just Vikings alone don't cut it. BenBot needed a few more tanks in this composition. It needed some bio, something like that, as Zozo does indeed break this planetary. Now, fortunately for BenBot, there is another base. It's actually building yet another eBay. Finally, this base will turn into a planetary, but I don't know if there's enough defense at this natural base to save it from the wrath of Zozo. Looks like mining can be denied in this location. There is 2 tanks, though, that can now actually shoot at these Stalkers. As long as they stay alive, that's a big deal. Lots of Widow Mines firing on the Stalkers, but there's still plenty of them left, and Zozo pushes forward, and I think it's just a matter of time until BenBot falls here, as Zozo's able to get in to that weak point, bypass this other planetary, get to the soft natural, and then just the composition is better for Zozo. It's funny to say that a bot that's building only like, well, I guess it's got Colossi in there, so it's like 3 units, but Stalkers and Tempest really is what this is. It's better than what BenBot had. The Vikings clearly are a response to the Tempest, but there wasn't enough of a response to the Stalkers, and this is maybe why we see some bots commit to like mass air. Like if you have all Vikings, you may as well throw in some Banshees, because then they can at least trade against the Stalkers. Maybe not great, but they still can trade. Unlike the Vikings, the mass Vikings in the sky, which we only saw land once. And while landed Vikings in certain situations can really turn a fight for a Terran, you don't just build mass Vikings against Stalkers. And so we do get a victory from the Probots champion, showing us that this simple style is very effective and that Terrans do struggle with the Tempest. But again, the Tempest alone were not the thing that secured the victory here. It was good unit grouping by Zozo, guarding the Tempest most of the game. It did have a few instances where it abandoned them, but now they are doing just fine. And yeah, that'll be it for this one. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to see more bots, let me know saying more bots. I'll definitely be casting more Relay replays in the future. For those of you, or pardon me, not really, more Y replays for those of you that have a hankering for Widow Mines. And then, yeah, just well done by Zozo. It does eventually take a 5th base. It only builds a Twilight Council at the 16-minute mark in the game. You gotta love Zozo. GG.